Man, just open the pages and read that shit. It's been a long time coming and we came. You're welcome. I'm Raxiel Liz and you're listening to We Alive and Living. Man, I like this subject a lot. This subject is a subject that's actually in chapter 2 of my book. Chapter 2, right? Yeah, I believe it's chapter 2. And so we're going to just jump straight to it. I'm going to start with some pages from the book. I feel like I'm reading a Bible. Well, this is kind of my Bible, my version of a Bible. Well, not Bible like religious stuff, you know. It's not basic instructions before leaving Earth, but it's basic instructions while you're on this motherfucker. But let me read you something, and then we're going to jump straight to the shit, right? So this is chapter 2 of my book, and it's called Best Friend and Worst Enemy. 3 words right here for you guys. Procrastination. I'm sure a lot of us know that person. Hesitation. And vacillation. Excuse me if I enunciated that word all fucked up. Vacillation. 3 words that are the best friends to your worst enemy. You can add the word fear in the mix to make it a nice disaster. I'm never going to get shit done. Soup. The process of creating is an amazing one. It doesn't matter if you're an artist, a teacher, stylist, etc. Whatever your craft, the worst thing you can do is any of these 3. PHV. Procrastination, hesitation, and vacillation. That word's fucking me all up. And vacillation are 3 dream killers, light diminishers, and the vanquishers of hope. Some may say that PHV are all the three same words. I beg to differ. Let us break the 3 down and see how they affect us daily. All right, so I'm gonna break these 3 definitions down. Then we're gonna go to another part in that chapter real quick. Procrastination: being an asshole with yourself and giving yourself 100 reasons why you don't just start. I felt that. I'm gonna read it again. Procrastination: being an asshole with yourself and giving yourself 100 reasons why you just don't start. All right, next word. Hesitation: being a bitch and acting like there's something holding you back once you get to the starting point. Again, hesitation: being a bitch and acting like there's something holding you back once you get to the starting point. Vacillation: not being able to make a fucking decision. One more time. Vacillation. And excuse me if I'm pronouncing this word all wrong. Vacillation: not being able to make a fucking decision. You see how they all differ. Now I'm going to read another piece of the book real quick. Each different, but all 3 lead to the same outcome: not getting anything done. As people, we at times fear the subject of choice. It's easy to sit back and look at someone else and make a decision for them. But when it comes to ourselves, there's a huge invisible wall. That wall is called fear. That all goes back to chapter 1, where we covered if it were easy, it wouldn't be entertaining or satisfying. When it comes to you or creating, you must take risk. You cannot stand there and PHV your way through this shit. Stop being a sucker ass bitch about it. It's better to fail and learn from your failure rather than not try at all and never know what the outcome could have been. Then you are haunted with the self-doubt and curiosity of what could have been and never find out. Now let's go to the ending of this particular chapter. So there's a lot to read in between, which I'll leave up to you. You should get the book so you can check it out. It's called Shut the Fuck Up and Love. The book is called Shut the Fuck Up and Love. Now check this out. I'm going to talk about the 3 other joints right here. Patience, pacing, and prepping. Those are your best friends. Patience, pacing, and prepping. PPP. Not a loan. It's not a fucking loan. This is patience, pacing, and prepping. Let me read the difference between the 3. Patience, the opposite of procrastination. Consider it being smart while you're waiting. Listen, patience. The opposite of procrastination. Consider it being smart while you're waiting. I'm hoping, and I know, and I'm hoping that hit a lot of y'all deep. Pacing. Knowing when to move and not rush it. Think like a chess player. Pacing. Knowing when to move and not rush it. Thinking like a chess player. And then prepping. Staying ready so you don't have to get ready. Which we've heard that one before. Prepping, staying ready so you don't have to get ready. So you see, you need to identify your enemy. PHV. And utilize your allies. PPP. Now, let's get into that for a second. Let's unpack this bitch. It's a lot of people that procrastinate on a lot of things. And not only their dreams, not only on things they want to do. They procrastinate on life. They procrastinate on simple shit. Stop being an asshole with yourself. You need to understand that the shit not going to get done for you. You know, and there's people that hesitate. What the fuck are you scared about? When you finally get there, you're like, all right, I'm going to do this shit. Then you open up the book, or you get to the starting point, or you open the door, however you want to look at the metaphor. And then you just stand there and stare into the abyss in fear like something's going to stop you. Already predicting your failure. The fuck are you doing? How do you know you're going to fail if you haven't even started? Makes no sense. You need to just put that shit on go. It's like me asking you, yo, how you know you're not going to die when you leave your house today? Right? How do you know? That's hesitation. Vacillation. Not being able to make a fucking decision. So it's like vacillation is worse than procrastination and hesitation, because it's like when you procrastinate, at least you know what you're procrastinating about. At least you know what it is that you're trying to do. You just not going to go do it. You just like walking around in circles, not knowing why. You're pacing without a plan. And it's worse than hesitation, because it's not even about fear. You just don't fucking know what you even want to focus on. So you don't even know what to focus on to be scared to do that thing. You don't even know what it is you want to pay attention to hesitate or procrastinate doing it. Like, you literally in oblivion. Like, you don't even know what the fuck you are thinking about. And that's a dangerous place. You need to snap out that shit. And snap out that shit right now. That's why patience, pacing, and prepping is important. PPP is fucking important. Because you need to have patience to consider what it is you're going to do. You know? You're like, okay, I want to write this book. Okay, you got there. You're not procrastinating on the process. You're not being stupid about it. You're not being silly. You're not giving yourself reasons to not do it. You're just being smart. You're getting things laid out. You're like, I gotta write this book. I need paper. I need a pen, pencil, my computer, resources. You're being smart as you're thinking about it. You're being smart as you're getting there. That's not procrastination. If you're doing stuff to get started, you're doing some research, you're giving thought to what you really want to say, that's not procrastination. That's you getting ready for when you approach the starting line. That's you getting ready for when you approach the starting line. Then pacing. Knowing when to move and not rush it. Think like a chess player. This is after you already got started and you're going. You're at the starting point. And you're taking your breath. You already know what you're going to say. You know what you're going to do. You're just waiting for that moment. It's like if you go to the gym, right? And you're about to do some bench presses. You put the weights on there. And you adjust everything. You lay back on the bench. You don't just lay back on the bench and just start lifting the motherfucker up. Like, you don't know. Nobody does that. I'm sure people do, but very rarely do that. You lay back, you catch your breath, you know, you adjust your hands, you look around, adjust your feet, make sure your posture's right, make sure your balance is right, it's not off. And then, you know, once you feel comfortable, you pace yourself, you go. Pacing is the opposite of hesitation. Hesitation is you're not doing shit, you're just being hesitant. You're standing there and you said, I'm gonna go run. And then you don't run. There's nothing holding you back from running. You're just like, there's an invisible wall, fear. You know, you're allowing it to make believe, you're allowing it to make you see something that's not there. So that's pacing. Pacing is being a chess player as you're prepping, as you're getting ready. Know when to move. Don't rush that shit. It's better to walk across the street after you acknowledge that there's no cars coming than to run across that motherfucker and try to dodge 100 cars and get hit by one or have to do it all over again. And then prepping. Staying ready so you don't have to get ready. Yo, it's like simple. Just get ready so you don't have to get ready. And that means everything. It's not only about getting your items in place, getting your pen, your pencils, or whatever it is, your weights, your gym clothes. It's about being mentally ready. Knowing you got all your ducks in a row. Knowing that you already prepped it, you already paced it out in your head. You know, you did the pacing, you did the prepping. Not the prepping, sorry. I forgot my own fucking word now. You had the patience, and then you was cool and collected about what you wanted to do. Then you got up and you start getting everything together to do that particular subject. And now you're prepping. You're about to go. You're on go. And you put on everything you said you was going to do, you're doing it. And you're doing it step by step. You're not rushing. You're taking your time. And even if you wanted to do it in a certain amount of time, you say, I'm going to take 60 minutes on this, 60 minutes on that, 20 minutes on this. If the 20-minute thing turns into a 30-minute thing, a 30-minute thing turns into a 40-minute thing, it's all good. You prepped for this. You was patient for this kind of situation. So when it happens, don't lose control. Don't start being like, shit, fuck, I'm messing up. See, I knew this wasn't going to work. Nah, don't focus on what went wrong. You know what went wrong. Focus on what you got to do to correct that wrong. Focus on why these 30 minutes are becoming 40 minutes. Focus on why these 40 minutes are becoming 50 minutes. Focus on where you went wrong. You already know what happened. You know what was the problem. Now, focus on me like, oh, okay, I see why this is not going as fast as it should. Or not fast. I see why this is not going as smooth as it should. Give that attention. Because you're giving attention to somewhere you went wrong doesn't mean that the process is not progressing. You don't want to get to the ending and you miss step 3. You don't want to go through 10 steps and then miss step 3. So when you get to that finish line, you're like, yes, I did it. And then you look back and your system is falling apart because you didn't give attention to something in step 3. You can get to step 3 and notice a slight jerk in the chain. And you look back and you go, I think I know the problem, but we straight. And then you keep going. You shouldn't do that. Don't be like, I think I know the problem, but we straight. Put everything down. You could be at step 4, and it doesn't mean that you attend to a situation in step 3 that you're not at step 4 anymore. Understand that. You can be at step 4, and just don't get too involved in step 4. Put your bags down. Put your equipment down at step 4, and just run back real quick to see what went wrong on step 3, that little jerk in the chain. You ever see movies when people are running, like something's attacking them or something, or bombs are going off, whatever, and they're running, and then that person that's running really fast looks back and see a person trip, or a person not being able to do it as good, and then that person runs back and grabs that person and picks him up and start running, and then that person kind of catches their breath a little bit, and then they get a little bit of momentum, and then that person, he let them go, he or she lets them go, and then they both start running at a decent pace. And even though the person that went back might still be running faster, but the person that he went back to help caught their breath or whatever the case is, and he put them in a good spot, and now he could continue running. It doesn't mean that he lost his place in what he was accomplishing. It doesn't mean that he failed. It just means that he assisted something to make it better and now go back to where he was at. Or if you're at the job and you're doing a job, you're unloading trucks or you're doing whatever, and you see somebody's going slow, you go over there and you give them a hand. And you show them how you would do it. Get them up to speed. And once they get up to speed, you could go back to what you was doing. And even though you might feel like, yeah, but I lost a few steps. Yeah, you might have lost a few steps, but the system gained many more. Because you're looking at it from that point of view, and them few minutes, or let's say that hour of work. You're looking at that hour of work, how much you could have got done in that hour. But you're not looking at how much your system, collectively, the team, and when I say team, I mean the team within you, like you and your well-being, your thought process, your project, your success, everything, your system achieve more in the 8 hours collectively versus how much you by yourself would have achieved in that 1 hour. And I think we can all agree we'd rather have a good ride and a long success of 8 hours collectively versus 1 hour of success. Them 8 hours become a day. That day becomes a week. That week becomes a month. That month becomes a year, and so on and so on. Therefore, your success, your goal is more achievable. It's a smoother process. It's chess, not checkers. We all play checkers, right? Pa-pa, pa-pa, pa-pa. Chess, you gotta sit there and look. And it's not that chess is boring. To some people, it may be. But it's not that chess is boring. Chess preps you to know how to be patient. It preps you to know when to move and not feel like you're taking too long to move. Because in life, you can feel like you're taking too long to do something. And then I'm going to start and you just rush through it. And you fuck it all up. But sometimes when you take your time with something, some people confuse taking your time with something like you take it too long. Now, there is a process of taking too long. When you take your time to do something, you know what that something is. Now you add hesitation, you add procrastination. You know, the 3 Ps don't work if part of PHV is involved. You can't be pacing in a good way as a chess player, but then start procrastinating. You can't be procrastinating and then be prepping. They don't go hand in hand. It has to be all 3 or none. You either have PHV or you have PPP. Until you master PPP, you're still stuck in PHV. That makes sense? I hope it does. All this is chapter 2 in my book, Best Friend and Worst Enemy. And what I mean by best friend and worst enemy as far as the metaphor of the title, is because some people like, let me rephrase that, sorry. Some people get comfortable being in PHV. Procrastination, hesitation, vacillation. I forgot how to say that fucking word. Y'all know the word. You know, they get comfortable being in PHV. They get comfortable being there. They stay there for a long time to the point that becomes the normal. I move when I'm not scared anymore. They become that. And when you master PPP, patience, pacing, and prepping, that becomes a new normal. You move forward. And that's what I mean by best friend, worst enemy. Being comfortable feels great to some people. It's a place of sanctuary. They feel safe. They feel like it can't be touched. Nothing changes, so it doesn't get better and it doesn't get worse. It just keeps cruising on by until you die. And your mind gets trapped in that. You stay safe there. You stay in a safe place. But understand that a safe place doesn't necessarily mean the best place. How do you get to a safe place, right? You got to go through the storm. You got to go outside. That's like if you in the building and the geek and comic bookism in me is coming out now. That's like being in the building and they tell you zombies are in that building. But there's more zombies outside. And you got to run across this bridge and fight your way to the other building, which is safe. But in the building you're currently in, you're in a room that the zombies can't get in. You're in a room that they can't get in, but you're still in that building with the zombies. So you feel safe in that room because you got a few cans of food, you got this and this and that, but you're going to be safe and you're going to stay safe until you die. So you got to leave that room and be strategic. You got to be patient and know when to move. You got to pace yourself. You can't just run to the bridge. You got to know, look around, see the zombies, get to cover. Don't make no noise. And if you're going to make noise, use the noise to distract the zombies. And move accordingly. Move strategically to the next spot, and the next spot. Patient. Know when to move. Like a chess player. Even if you have to stay in one fucking spot for 10 minutes. Even if you have to sit in a spot for an hour in terror, hoping the zombies don't find you. But that hour is better spent doing that than all your time in that room where you're going to just wait it out till you die. And every step you prep. As you're being patient, and pacing, you're prepping. All right, boom, 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 boom. You're taking your breather, you're breathing, you're looking, you're getting your footing correctly. Make sure your shoes are tied. Whatever the case, make sure your book bag is strapped up. And then you run for that fucking bridge. Or you walk across the bridge, whatever you're doing. But you gotta pace yourself. Prep yourself. And get across that fucking bridge. Then when you make it across and you reach the other place, the sanctuary, now you're at PPP. Now you're in a new place. You know it's safe. There ain't no zombies. There ain't nothing. This place of sanctuary is a new place. You start getting comfortable there. You start moving around. You start seeing that it's safe there. You start seeing that you can plan things out. You start seeing that, this was a good decision. You start looking back and saying to yourself, what was I thinking? You start looking back and being like, I can't believe I stood there. And you start saying shit like, man, I'm so glad I made that choice. You start feeling good about your decision. And not only do you start feeling good about your decision, it starts building bravery. It starts building positivity in you. And you start helping other people see it. And now you could get on that radio and help people guide through it. You can tell people how you did it. I say radio, I'm talking about the little microphones that movies always have. That'd be like, if someone's out there, you're not alone. You can help those people get to the way you at. And so on and so on. But you get, I'm applying that to real life. Those same tactics is what I applied to my life after everything I've lost to get to where I'm at and assist people and talk to people and create this podcast. Now, I've had people tell me, yo, you think people listening to your podcast? And I'm like, yeah, I know people listening. One, I'm an entertaining motherfucker. And two, you're a silly person. I don't want to say dumb or stupid, but you're a silly person if you acknowledge things within you. And there's people out there that want to talk to you for free or just whatever and give you knowledge and give you wisdom and give you, strategies, give you tips on how to overcome certain things. That's like going to a therapist. It's the same thing. But me being a person that understands that a therapist isn't always the answer. It's a good answer. It's good for those who seek it, need it, and I encourage everybody to try it to find out if it's for you. And then there's people like myself that a good talk, a good example, a good podcast, a good verbal speaker will get me out of a fucking comfort zone. I tip my hat off to people like Gary Vee, who when I hear him talk, make me be like, word, you fucking right. The fuck am I doing? And you bust out that damn shell and you start making moves. Remember what I said before. The fastest way to finish is to start. And that's literally the part that holds about 90% of us back. It's just getting started. Just start that shit. PPP that motherfucker. A lot of people consider the PPP like a loan, right? The PPP loan. Well, give yourself a PPP loan in motivation, gratification, inspiration. Give yourself a loan on that. Be like, let me borrow this inspiration. Let me borrow this motivation and shit. Let me borrow these 3 things real quick for a second until I get to the other side. When I get there, I'm going to give these back to you. I'm going to give it back to the PPP bank. And I'm going to create my own because now I got the confidence and shit I need over there. Look at it however you want. Create the metaphor. Create the atmosphere in your head of positivity. Create the atmosphere of possibilities in your head. Believe them. Believe in yourself. Believe that you could get there. And I promise you, that PHV, that shit gonna just sound like a fucking sexually transmitted disease. You're gonna be like, I don't want that. I can't get that no more. I done took my amoxicillin and I got my PPP now. Y'all get what I'm saying? But I hope that makes sense to a lot of you. I've helped a lot of people with this example. I watched them on Instagram. They holler at me. They talk to me and I see their progression. And if you want more info on that, all the links are in my bio for the podcast or the book. Again, the book is called Shut the Fuck Up and Love. It's a gut punch to the stomach of motivation. And what we talked about just now was on chapter 2, if you want more insight on it. But yeah, DM me, get at me, Twitter, Instagram, whatever the case may be. Let's chop it up. I appreciate everybody listening. And let me know what y'all want me to touch on, what topics y'all want me to touch on. I'm going to have a few celebrity guests on soon talking about mental health in the industry. And not only celebrities, but, you know, other guests as well, teachers, public speakers, and just friends of mine and people that I know that want to get on the show to talk on these topics. I got people coming soon. I'm just prepping all that. And if the volume to the stuff I'm doing lately sounds a little different, the studio's under construction. We're reconstructing everything. So I have to do a lot of the podcasting in different places. But again, I appreciate you all. Thank you. Hit me up. Let's chop it up. And I hope everything you're listening to assists you in any way possible. Stay blessed.